First question comes from Jaipur, India. Initials MD. Salam. Is it fine if I have a low fade haircut or I'll be sinful? Jazakallah khairan. We've answered this question many times before. It's best to just get an even haircut. And if you get a fade, something which is not specific to the kuffar and the mushrikun, then hopefully there's nothing wrong with it and it's permissible. And Allah surely knows best. Question comes from initials ID from Atlanta, Georgia. If a person who knows tajweed mispronounces letter in prayer, should they be corrected? If it's a mistake that changes the verse, that's not how the verse is recited, it changes the meaning, let alone change the meaning, let alone a statement of kufr, etc., you respectfully, humbly correct them as a sunnah. And no one is above that. As far as something which is not perfect, that's a different story. Wallahu alam. Initials Ari from Boston, Massachusetts. Is it fine to wear pants over the ankles at home, but wear pants over the ankles outside? Isbal while standing is unlawful. That's the view that we take and the view that we adopt. Whether you're in your house or whether you're outside, it doesn't matter. Okay? Yani, what I mean sitting down is like you're doing something, getting dressed. All right? You put on your socks, you put on your pants, or right? Okay, it's extremely cold, that's one thing. You're a plumber, it's raining, walking in the water, that's one thing. But not of those specific exceptional conditions, it is unlawful to have your pants beneath your ankles while standing in the house or outside of the house, period. Wallahu alam. Next question says, initials RM from Hanover, Germany. Which madhab do you follow? I myself do not restrict myself to a specific madhab. I have studied the different traditional orthodox madhabs of the scholars of Islam. Not every single thing I've studied, that's not what I'm saying. Meaning I've been trained and I've done my own personal study along with my formal training with the traditional madhabs. But I don't follow one madhab and that's it specifically. I don't follow one specific madhab to the T, A to Z, everything that they say. No, I don't believe that there's one madhab which is 101% correct and wholesome from A to Z. Not Hanbali, not Shafi'i, not Maliki, not Hanafi, not Zahiri. Okay? Every madhab has its ups and its downs, its good and its bad and its ugly. All right? And I am of the teachings of comparative fiqh. Al-fiqh al-maqaran. Okay? The comparative style with the zahir being the asl. All right? With the zahiri being the asl. All right? The way of Ahlul Hadith. Insha'Allah ta'ala. And of course, I'm not here to praise myself. That's the question, and that's my way of answering it. TM from Montero, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What's the difference between al-ilah and khula, divorce? It's two different things. They're not the same, period. Khula is when a woman seeks the talaq, seeks the divorce from her husband. And al-ilah lilladhina yu'luna min nisa'ihim. The men, they swear and they make a promise not to sleep with their wives. There are two different types of divorce. There's no like major similarity between the two. There's night and day, two different things. Allah knows best. AE, Munich, Germany. Are the 2 rak'ah of Sunnah of Isha considered shafi'? Do I pray 2 rak'ah Sunnah Isha, 2 shafi' and 3 witr, or 2 Isha and 3 witr? I really don't understand the dynamic of the question. What's important is the prayer that you make at night. From one aspect, the 2 rak'ah of Isha they're a part of it, as far as the number. And from another aspect, they are the rawatib. They're not a part of the qiyam al-layl, salat bil-layl, tahajjud, tarawih, etc. At the end of the day, they're 2, period. After you finish salat al-isha, you go home from the masjid or you pray in the home, wherever the case, work, you make your 2 for isha and that's it. Consider it a new chapter of prayer now. The night prayer, the witr, is different than the 2 for Isha. Totally separated. Nothing to do with each other. That's the easiest way to calculate it. And Allah surely knows best. Question says, from MD, Jaipur, India. Salam, Mufti, I rarely watch football matches, but will I be sinful for every time the odor of the players is exposed and I see it on TV? Jazakallah khairan. If you're not intending to look at their odor, and it happened by accident, it's one thing. One way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is, you know that their odor is going to be exposed. You know it. The shorts are short. The long shorts will be lifted up by running and kicking and jumping and sliding, etc., diving. When in doubt, do without. When in doubt, do without. Da' ma yuribuka ila ma la yuribuka. Wallahu alam. Question says, from Oakland, California, CW. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Mufti. Can one name his child after an angel? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I don't know of any prohibition from the Prophet's Sunnah to name their child after one of the angels. I don't know of authentic hadith that prohibits that. However, some scholars mention that this wasn't a practice of the pious predecessors, and some say that it should be avoided. But I don't know of a authentic prophetic narration that prohibits that. And Allah knows best. Next question says, HRS from Kashmir. How to study hadiths. Can you please recommend some cheap or free courses? It's all on the channel, brother. May Allah bless you and bless the Muslims in Kashmir and rectify the situation there. Ameen. T.A. Ripon, California. How to get rid of waswas, especially with regards to wudu. Watch the lecture that we just did last month, a couple weeks ago, if not a week ago. The lecture on al-waswas on HadithDiscipleship.com. This is why we do these monthly lectures. No initials. Initials I.E. Rosenheim, Germany. Do I make istinja after sleep? No, you do not. There's no need to make istinja unless the person had an accident. Other than that, the sleeping in the private areas is tahir, it's pure. And that's going to lead to waswas. JT, Baltimore, Maryland. What is considered the private part when making ghusl? For sure, the genitalia, the genitals, and some scholars, they make qiyas and they say one's backside, the buttocks as well, is considered to be from the farj, that's to be washed or whatever, or hand washed, etc. Whatever ruling pertains to it in the ghusl that you're asking about. And Allah knows best. RM Hanover, Germany. Is it haram to invest in Bitcoin? As we mentioned before, investing, some things are clearly haram, some things are not haram. What's important is Bitcoin is not haram because it's unconventional. Just because it's not paper money doesn't mean that it's illegal. Whatever's lawful is lawful, whatever's unlawful is unlawful. Same rulings, rather, maybe some aspects within Bitcoin which are even more permissible and closer to the sharia outlook on wealth and the monopoly and dominance and spreading of wealth. And Allah surely knows best. Question comes from Atlanta, Georgia. Initials KK. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. When we are in Jannah, inshallah, will we produce children there? The Quran and the Sunnah teach us is that there will be servants in paradise, the young children, and they'll be like pearls walking and running about Jannah. The people in Jannah do not age. They don't become old. There's no urination, no defecation, no menstruation. None of those things are in Jannah. And the age of the people of Jannah will remain the same. And Allah surely knows best. Question comes from Jaipur, India. Initials MD. Salam. In my family, all mahrams and non-mahrams mix. I avoid my non-mahrams, but what to do when they try to interact with me? Jazakallah khairan. Salam. It's nothing wrong with interacting with a non-mahram. A family member or a relative, mahram or not, whatever, cousin, etc., a neighbor, a coworker, you can speak to someone. It's not impermissible to interact. Someone asks you a question. Your cousin says, how you doing? Come have dinner at our house, etc. Accept this gift. Interaction is not haram. Them touching you, you touching them, etc., being alone with them, traveling, that's a different story. But don't go to the extreme thinking that's unlawful to have interaction. Understand? And Allah surely knows best. Initials AE from Rosenheim, Germany. Advice to someone who wants to become a student of knowledge but lives in a village and cannot have a teacher. All of the different hadiths that we explained, the channel, all of the stuff on HadithDisciple is showing you how to become a student of knowledge, even by yourself. AB, Queens, New York. How do you stop yourself from becoming arrogant with people who know less than you? There's no reason to become arrogant, no matter what. If you have to explain to someone their ignorance, put someone in their place, that doesn't mean that that's arrogance. There's no excuse for arrogance, period. RM, Hanover, Germany. Is it allowed to combine the Maghrib and Isha prayer in order to wake up early the next day to have more time to study for university? As long as it's not done repeatedly. If it was one type of thing, one instance, that's one thing. But that can't be a regular practice. FZ from India, your city, Jazakallah khairan. AM, Phoenix, Arizona. Should I get married or pay my student loans? There's a chance the loan will be forgiven or reduced. If not, interest will happen in December. I have high desires also. Seek Allah's help to get married and pay off your debts at the same time. And Allah knows best. MS, Dallas, Texas, playing in the NBA haram. Playing in professional sports. Some sports are haram themselves. Some sports contain haram elements. Some sports may be lawful, but the things that you're exposed to, whatever those things are that are against Quran and Sunnah. So that's going to be a tough answer. I would say that the Muslim who wants to play in the NBA, his level of Islam, his understanding of Islam, and his practice of Islam, different things people go after, different careers, different jobs, they're a reflection of their Islamic practice. So there's some people that are going to do certain things, go into certain fields that aren't that hardcore, or they're hardcore but they're not that orthodox, or they're not that strict, whatever the case may be. So alhamdulillah, they're Muslim. Alhamdulillah, they want to be a Muslim. Alhamdulillah, they want to identify themselves as Muslims. Alhamdulillah, they're not scared and afraid of being a Muslim, and they're proud to be a Muslim. And they may represent Islam, they may give dawah through them being athletes and professional sports players. So that's a good thing. As far as is it permissible or will we advise with that, that's a different story. And of course, I was thinking the other day, saying to myself, when we talk about al-wala wal-bara in the world today, let alone the United States, there's much of wala wal-bara which can't even be practiced because the way that we live, and we're surrounded by the kuffar and we surround the kuffar, where our societies are mixed and integrated. So how much wala and bara and hubb and bughd are you actually really going to have versus hijrah, versus Muslims living by themselves secluded? So one of the problems with professional sports, and there are many problems, one of the problems is that your friends are going to be kuffar. And we know that any successful team, I'm not a basketball player, but I know some coaches, some really good coaches. And I also know some really good players, so alhamdulillah. Okay, rather my uncle, my father's father, was a Ivy League sports hero. So basketball is in my blood, but it just wasn't my path. It wasn't for me. All right. What's important is I don't play the game. I'm not good at the game, but I know how the game is supposed to be played. That's what's important, and I know good people when I see them, talent. All right. What's important is that it's a fact, whether it's basketball, football, any team, any sport, the more the team hangs out, the more they eat together, have fun together, dance and party together, the more that they have that camaraderie, the more they have that brotherhood and that sense of brethren, the more that they know each other, their ups and their downs, they joke with each other, the stronger the morale is. The more trust, the more love, the more respect there is for the fellow player. And those things are crucial in the fourth quarter, in the playoffs. 30 seconds left, 2 minutes left. You're willing to take something for your team member. You're willing to do this for your team member, etc. You get into an argument off the court and you squash it on the court. So if you're a professional sports player, you're playing in the NBA, how are you going to tell your teammates, I can't be your friend? We can't go out and hang out afterwards. We can't have fun, let alone things that are clearly haram, khamr, women, this, that, etc., 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 etc. So there's problematic issues within that. But just playing a sport, it's not necessarily haram. And then, alhamdulillah, if a Muslim is playing basketball and they're Muslim, as I said, and they're not scared and they're not afraid of the different stereotypes and prejudices of being Muslim, and they're willing to support and pump Islam and call people to Islam through the excellence of playing basketball. So that's a blessing. Let's not go extreme with regards to that. And last but not least, the Muslims are of different levels. انظر كيف فضلنا بعضهم على بعض. The Muslims are at different levels. وَلِكُلٍّ, Allah mentions درجات مما عملوا. Their levels and ranks. The Muslims are not the same. So a Muslim who's there and he's a basketball player, alhamdulillah. A Muslim who's up here, he's a scholar, alhamdulillah. The Muslim who says, I don't want to play basketball because kada, alhamdulillah. Muslims are at different levels, right? Different understandings of the religion, different levels of practice of the religion. Alhamdulillah for that. And Allah knows best. طيب. Move forward. Initials Owen, Canada. Move forward. Brother from HRS from Kashmir. I recommend you to buy Shekul Jazakallah Khairan. FZ, India. AB, Bolton, UK. If one combined Maghrib and Isha due to Isha being late and I try to sleep but Isha comes, do I pray Isha? If you combine the salats, I don't understand. But I try to sleep but Isha comes, I don't understand the question. JT, Baltimore, Maryland. Should we make morning adhkar on my way to Fajr and evening adhkar on my way to Asr, etc.? As we've said before, the specific adhkar is when the morning starts. Specifics, what the Prophet did specifically. In general, it's open. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. FZ, India. Karnataka. With regards to the etiquette of giving salam, many people in my culture will feel offended and some will even demand those younger than them to bow down while giving salam. No bowing down. No bowing down. We bow to Allah. Z in Melbourne. Some people say there's no mention of punishment of grave in the Quran, that it may not exist. They haven't read the Quran. النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا. FZ, India. Move forward. Question, you gotta mention your cities, guys. Your city. It says, who is Brother Islam Ripright with relation to HadithDisciple? Alhamdulillah, Ripright. Inshallah, he's one of the believers. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Our Muslim brother. Inshallah, we love him for Allah's sake. Alhamdulillah, we know him, we know Ripright, we know Islam before Ripright, before the Ripright ever. May Allah bless him in that his endeavors. May Allah guide him, guide his actions, and make him to be upon that which is most correct. Ameen. Ripright Health Disciple, I guess you would call it an affiliate, an associate. It's not HadithDisciple. Obviously, our channel or channels is not about bodybuilding or lifting weights or calisthenics or working out or body sculpting. That's clear, common sense, right? And I guess you call it, he's a disciple, hopefully, inshallah, and an affiliate of HadithDisciple. But it's not a branch of HadithDisciple. Our channels are not about physical development, working out, and so on and so forth. And that's, I think, pretty much common sense. And Allah knows best. Moving forward. DS, Toronto, Canada. Is music halal or haram? Why do I say I adopt the opinion of so-and-so or so this narration is weak? What is the general ruling according to Islamic history? Jazakallahu khairan. The answer is in the question. You mentioned different views, different opinions. He's going to say yes, he's going to say no. Who determines what is Islamic history? Somebody says Islamic history proves the Muslims use drums in certain things. And another person will say, through Islamic history, it's clearly prohibited and impermissible. And Allah knows best. Alhamdulillah, the 5 minutes of Faidah from House of Pain, right, Mahmoud G? Faris As-Sulaym, Houston, Texas. We miss you, Sheikh. Can you give me a good topic for khutbah this Friday? Barakallahu feekum. We miss you too. May Allah bless you. That's a difficult question. It depends on your community. How many times are you giving the khutbah? Do you give the khutbah every week? It's your first time. What the community needs. It's a lot. But in general, you can never, ever go wrong with doing a masterful khutbah on taqwa. On the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The virtue of taqwa, the obligation of taqwa, the need of taqwa, the levels of taqwa, the manifestations of taqwa, and how taqwa applies to our lives in 2021 on the train to work. COVID-19, okay? Palestine, Jerusalem, such and such, politics, blah, 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 blah. You can never go wrong with that. وَلَقَدْ وَصَّيْنَا الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Allah's advice to everyone was taqwa. So you can never go wrong with that, right? And of course, you can look at the modern age, what's going on in the world today, what's going on in the news today, and it depends on your level of skill as a khatib. You can do a chef khutbah, signature, personal chef khutbah, or you may not have that much skill, you may have to just do a general khutbah. It depends. But in general, you can never go wrong with talking about taqwa. Wallahu ta'ala alam. And try to do the khutbah how you would like to hear it. Not just speaking from your heart, but do it like you're in the audience, right? And Allah knows best. Question comes from Jaipur, India. Initials empty. Salam. Can I get al-firdaus by constantly making dua for it, even though my good deeds may not be like the extremely righteous Muslim? Jazakallahu khairan. If you make dua for firdaus, try your best to act upon the Muslims who, inshallah ta'ala, inherit وَلَيْكُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ firdaus, right? And you ask Allah from His bounty, and Allah is more generous than your deeds will ever be deserving of. And Allah knows best. WQ, Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Assalamu alaikum. A brother was saying to me that changing sharia is major kufr. What does it mean by changing sharia? Is this brother right? Scholars of Islam have mentioned different types of kufr, and there lies no doubt. There are many times and instances in which a person, a ruler or whatever, changes Allah's laws, replaces Allah's laws, substitutes Allah's laws on a mass whole scale, or even in some individual issues in which it can become kufr akbar. There's no doubt about that. May Allah protect us. May Allah guide the rulers and bless them to be upon that which is correct for the benefit of the Muslims. Ameen. AL, San Diego. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I love you for the sake of Allah. How can I become a true hadith disciple? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahabaka ladhi ahbabtani fihi. Ameen. May Allah bless you. How to become a true hadith disciple? I'm still looking for the answer to that myself, honestly. Trying to be a true hadith disciple. That's an everyday struggle. Waking up, trying to be a real hadith disciple. That's a weighty, heavy topic. All right? It's a responsibility. May Allah hide our faults and our flaws. I mean, at the end of the day, try your best to learn as much as you can and implement as much as you can and call others to as much as you can and be as patient as you can. Inshallah ta'ala. Allah knows best. All right, guys. We will stop here tonight. All right, we'll finish. All right, the question from Mission is going to be the last one. Briefly, initials BD from East Orange, New Jersey. Assalamu alaikum. How do we live balanced life as Muslims in the West? By following Quran and Sunnah to the best of your ability. Learn what you can from the Quran and the Sunnah, but to the best of your ability, and implement it. Focus on the fundamentals. Focus on trying to make as much dhikr as you possibly can. Have a connection with the Quran and then get an understanding of the deen. Fiqh fi deen. Fiqh and balance go like white on rice, the hand in hand. Lack of fiqh, extremes. Learn the religion. طيب. FZ from India, Karnataka, Darwad. Reading Mu'tazili Tafsir. Is Zamakhshari one of them? Don't read those books. Focus on the fundamental books of tafsir that are safe and sound. B. Kalamas wa Salam Sheikh. What is the rule on a menstruating female enter the masjid? Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. There's nothing wrong with that. Flint, Michigan. No initials. FZ, India, Karnataka, Darwad. What types of sins are forgiven between two fard, etc.? The minor sins, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Allah knows best. We'll stop here. It's very late. Thanks a lot, guys, for your love and for your support. Take care. May you be in the protection of Ar-Rahman.